Alrighty.
Here we go.
What a day two.
Man. Yeah, it's been a lot. Roller coaster of emotions. Some people have
left, right, good night. I mean,
oh yeah, a little ookadooks. Still some talent left on the board.
Of action. A lot of players we were surprised are still on the board. There is so much to talk about. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us after a crazy day two. You know, day two felt as crazy as day one, honestly, with the amount of spots and the amount of trade ups, trade downs. I think the Dallas Cowboys are gonna have Deuce Vaughn as our RB1.
Deuce in the bubble goose.
The ghost of Ezekiel Elliott.
I got him in my taxi.
It's apparently Zeke Elliott season. They do not care that they need a running back, apparently. We appreciate you guys. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining the stream. As the stream begins, smash that like button. We have a like goal on today's stream. Let's set it at 200. 200 likes is the goal on today's stream. I think we can get to 200 with your help. So smash that like button. 200 likes is the goal. We got a lot to talk about. We see y'all in the chat. I see Uptown. I see Austin. I see Kyle. I see Buster. I see CB. I see Captain. I see Freak. I see Mork.
Here we go.
Maddie Lowe. I see Harrison. I mean, there's so many of you guys in the chat doing your thing, talking about winners and losers. We're going to cover it all. Well, we just appreciate y'all being here. Chimichanga's in the chat. Steve's in the chat. Waffle Boy. Lazy Bones is in the chat. Zach Bard is in the chat. I mean, the whole damn gang is here. So we appreciate y'all. Big Dog is here. Minded is here. G Money is the whole gang is in the chat, ready to have a fantastic stream. We appreciate y'all big time. Like we mentioned, smash that like button. Today's like goal is 200. But we're going to start today's stream with what we would perceive to be winners and losers specifically related to landing spots, okay? So why don't we start and talk about some of our favorite landing spots in day two? And there were some bad ones, but let's start with some of our favorite landing spots here in day two. Some of the landing spots that we loved, Ladd McConkey to the Chargers. That might have been best case scenario for Ladd McConkey if he wasn't going to go in round one. A situation with Justin Herbert, no disrespect to your guy QJ, but there is nobody to compete with in that sense.
No, that's disrespectful.
Okay, then 100% disrespect intended. 100% disrespect. QJ can't hold my guy's jockstrap, okay? Ladd McConkey stepping in and has a great opportunity to lead this team in targets year one. Yeah, it's a different offense, but man, that is a fantastic landing spot for him. How did you feel about that?
No, absolutely. I love the landing spot. And if you guys saw the video of guys that I do believe is still alive, that was Quentin Johnson. And I even said, if Ladd McConkey does land with the Los Angeles Chargers, I do believe he's going to instantly become the wide receiver one on this team. I love Quentin Johnson, but Ladd McConkey, in my opinion, is better talent, better route runner, overall base wide receiver coming out of Georgia here. And him falling to the Los Angeles Chargers is absolutely phenomenal here. So I love this landing spot for Ladd McConkey. I think we could easily see him over some of these players, which we'll get into the rookie draft here.
Yeah. By the way,
one of my favorite.
Sorry, just quickly. How do you think Bills fans feel right now? A lot of people don't like Keon Coleman. How do you think they feel knowing they gave the Chiefs Xavier Worthy, they traded back from pick 32, they took Keon Coleman when Adonai Mitchell was there. A lot of people don't like Adonai, you know, it looks like in the NFL world, but even Ladd McConkey was available there. How do Bills fans got to feel right now?
If I'm a Bills fan, I'm sorry. Because Keon Coleman is probably one of the worst players I think that could have went to your guys' organization, personally. And I just don't like it. We'll get to it. We'll get to him, in my personal opinion, maybe in the second half of landing spots. Maybe we don't love. But Jonathan Brooks.
Yes.
With the Carolina Panthers.
Round two. It's a sneaky spot, but I love it.
They trade up for Jonathan Brooks, by the way. They go up and trade up and get him in the second round.
You know who they jumped ahead of, though, was the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys.
Jerry Jones' interview where he talked about how much they loved him?
Jerry goes, hey, we love Jonathan Brooks. We're going to take him. That's literally what he said.
What are you doing, Jerry?
Jerry.
It's your first day at school, bud?
I don't know if you saw the guy to the right of, if you watched the interview, the guy to the right of him, like as he's saying how much he likes Jonathan Brooks, he looks at Jerry, and then I think in his mind is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like, oh, why are you giving?
It's like, no disrespect, this is not a political channel, but it's almost like every time Joe Biden goes up and makes a speech right now, the people behind him are just like, please do not say something racist. Do not say something that gets you canceled or that we have to make up in the media and fix. It's like Jerry Jones, he's getting to that point where it's like, Jerry, why would you say that we love that player? Like, so that was crazy,
But yeah, I mean, this is a phenomenal landing spot in my personal opinion. You know, I'm not necessarily worried about Chuba Hubbard. I'm not necessarily worried about Miles Sanders. This is a whole new coaching regime. We've seen Dave Canellis coming out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going now with the Carolina Panthers. You saw how he utilized Rachaad White, and I think that's exactly maybe the hope and expectation. Sure. And I think Jonathan Brooks is a better running back than Rachaad White. But like just to saying, the hopes and expectations of the workload that we saw from Rachaad White last year, Jonathan Brooks can easily step into getting opportunities in the air, opportunities on the ground, and so much more. So this is a huge win, not only for the Carolina Panthers and Jonathan Brooks, but for Bryce Young.
Yeah. You know,
so I love it.
I definitely agree. And it's funny because Chuba's like the perfect guy that you're like, all right, they're going to let Brooks heal properly, but that doesn't worry me at all when he's ready. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually a perfect spot. 4 more years. Pause. Does anybody know?
Come on, 4 more years.
Pause. Anyway, I loved the landing spot for Trey Benson. I know I got some pushback on that on Twitter. Not even pushback, just people asking, like, are you not worried about James Conner? And my overall response to that is just in general, firstly, James Conner has not been able to stay healthy during a season ever. I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. What seasons has he been able to stay healthy since he started his career? Was it only his that 1 year he took over for Le'Veon? I don't think he's ever played a full season. If you let Trey Benson get into camp, you let him show that athleticism, I just think at some point, it's probably not day one for both of these backs, considering Brooks' injuries. I think probably second half of the season, both of these running backs could take off. And also considering that James Conner is a free agent after this year anyway, you would like to think that the coaching staff who came in last year, who, by the way, didn't sign James Conner but love him, are wanting to see what Trey Benson has for the future, considering James Conner is gone. And my guy, Jermaine Cole Burton, one of my guys I love, had a great landing spot. The other did not. We'll talk about that. But J. Cole Burton with the Bengals is the perfect fit to replace Tyler Boyd. And we don't know what's going to happen long term with T. Higgins, but Jermaine Burton was one of these guys that you just watched him on film. Is like, this guy, the technique, the twitch, the release off the line of scrimmage, the dog mentality every single time he goes out there. I'm going to beat you one-on-one. I mean, that guy is different gravy, and I'm glad to see him in Cincinnati. Let's talk about some of the landing spots we don't like, though. Because
hold on. Before we go, sorry. I just want to mention one landing spot that we didn't, and now thinking about it, we wrapped up these graphics right before we went live here. I don't know how you feel. I know you probably don't love the player. I'm not saying you don't love him, but I like him more than you do, I would say. Jalen Polk going to New England Patriots. I think with no one else there, I find that really exciting. In my personal opinion, I think he can easily be the wide receiver 1 in this offense. I said that yesterday, that I think he has the potential to be the wide receiver 1. I know you may think of that a little bit differently, but there's no one else. Demario Douglas, Kendrick Bourne coming off of ACL, if I'm not mistaken. Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, he can easily step into a wide receiver 1 opportunity here with Drake May. I think this is a low-key win. This is something that we need to take account for in Jalen Polk here, potentially in the second round. But yes, I absolutely love that landing spot.
I'm in 100% agreement with you, by the way. Polk was my wide receiver 13 pre-draft. I had him ahead of Leggett. I had him ahead of Malachi Corley. I had him ahead of Keon Coleman. So I like the pick a lot. Of course, I would have preferred it to be my guy Jalen, but McMillan, right? They're both Jalen. But I definitely see, like, there's clear pathway there for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's move on to the spots that we don't like so much, and we could be overthinking it. It's straight reactions. Even some of the things that we talked about yesterday, I realized I was overthinking some of it. We'll talk about that. But here are some of the spots that we don't love, okay? Number 1, Adonai Mitchell to the Colts. This was one of our lesser favorites. Great English there, Zach. This is one of our least favorite landing spots for a wide receiver.
Good work.
And also, by the way, one of the reasons that I constantly told y'all to sell Josh Downs this offseason for a mid to late second. I just felt like the second round was so strong this year, and I felt like the Colts were just bound to take a wide receiver in round 1, 2, or 3, and it was a stacked class. Adonai Mitchell falls to the Colts. We heard some reports that there's some issues with his diabetes. Okay? Don't know what that's about. We also heard that he did not really interview well at all.
By the way, that's kind of nonsense if there's issues with his diabetes. Mark Andrews' guy has diabetes, but I'm just trying to like fight for him if that is the case, but I have no idea. Anyways, continue.
I don't know much about diabetes, okay? But that was a conversation, and a lot of people said he didn't interview well either. So he falls down boards. I'm sure this is, by the way, if you're a Colts fan, this is fantastic for you. This is incredible. If you own Anthony Richardson, this is incredible for you, okay? But I don't love this landing spot for Adonai Mitchell. We've said this, and we've beaten it into the ground, but just quick Twitter version.
No question.
We don't even know if Anthony Richardson can support Michael Pittman as a top 15 wide receiver for a full season. The 2 games that he was fully healthy, they are so opposite of each other. Pittman had a great game. He had a mediocre game. So we have no idea if Pittman can even be supported by A-Rich. So now you're talking about Downs, who is a good slot guy, and Adonai, who's going to play on the outside. It's really hard to see a true breakout there in Indy. It's a great thing for their team, but we want as much of that pie as we can get. There's not much pie to go around there. And an offense that's probably going to run the ball a lot and has question marks at quarterback sustainability. Marshawn Lloyd.
I mean, it feels like he's kind of dead in the water right here. You know, I know you have A.J. Dillon. I know you have, now the new addition of
Josh Jacobs.
Sorry, Josh Jacobs. I think someone's at the door. But a new addition of Josh Jacobs. Marshawn Lloyd, I'm not necessarily sure where he fits into this offense. Now, maybe they cut A.J. Dillon. I know I was a little bit skeptical on Josh Jacobs' contract because it seems like a 1-year deal because they do have an out after this year. So if things don't go right, there could be opportunity for Marshawn Lloyd. But at the same time, it just feels like a dead asset right now. Maybe he has a Jerome Ford type of pathway. I just don't see it.
We loved
in
Jerome.
Recency bias. Yeah, we loved Jerome.
Him, and it took a long time for him to get in there. The day 2 capital is great. It's just the landing spot's tough because Jacobs is one of those guys who has just dominated volume on his team for so long. This does raise questions to me about Jacobs slightly. I'm not concerned, but you remember how we talked about how they have an out after this year for Josh Jacobs' contract?
Yeah.
That is something I thought about a little bit more after this pick. I'm not saying I'm going to overreact. All right, and we'll finish off here, unless you have another guy, with my favorite player in the entire draft. It was so funny, Badaki. I'm tweeting out. I'm like, oh, my God, look at this guy going to this team. This fit is perfect. Oh, this guy's going to thrive at this team. Oh, my goodness, Trey Benson to Arizona. We've got Jermaine Burton in Cincinnati. We've got Roman Wilson to the Steelers. Everything is lining. It's so beautiful. And then I see Jalen McMillan to the Bucks, and I'm like, you've got to be please tell me no. That can't. My favorite player in the draft, buried in a depth chart behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Man, I'll tell you what. At first, I really hated it. I am seeing the light at the end of the tunnel because Chris Godwin does have an out after this year. He's not even an out. Excuse me. Chris Godwin is an undrafted free agent after this year. So I could see a scenario in which McMillan's one of my favorite buys next year. But unfortunately, this is not ideal. This is not ideal for him being a breakout, a sneaky breakout in year 1. It's tough to see. An injury would have to happen ahead of him. I'm still going to draft him. Oh, for sure. Round 3, McMillan's going to be on my team. But it's a little sad to see. Anything else you want to say before we go to rookie drafts here?
I would to paint a nice little, to have a light at the end of the tunnel for McMillan. Mike Evans is an older prospect. He doesn't get a 2-year contract. Godwin hasn't been able to stay healthy. So the pathway to success for McMillan, unfortunately, for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans is injury. And that's probably best case scenario. And anything could potentially happen with McMillan. But, hey, we'll wait and see how they're going to be deployed here because that offensive coordinator is completely different. David Canellis is no longer there. So I think we even maybe on the fence with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and how they're going to potentially perform with the new offensive coordinator. I don't know who that is off the top of my head. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like Liam something. But yes, not the best landing spot for Jalen.
No, but like I said, I'll still draft a ton of him in round 3 and just play the long game there. But it's not looking like a lot of confidence in a year 1 breakout. All right, I need to make a public apology to everyone, okay? I need to take a second. I need to publicly apologize for my indiscretions, all right? So,
indiscretions?
Yesterday I was quite worked up about Michael Penix Jr. And, I was just saying to everyone, I can't see how no one's going to take, the common trend was, Zach, Penix is not going to be a first-round pick in Superflex draft. So I'm sitting there, you got to be kidding me, guys. We're not going to take a top 10 quarterback in round 1. Here's what I asked the audience. Number 1, you judge me based off my rankings after day 3. That's when I want you to judge me, okay? I don't want to judge you on my pre-draft rankings. I don't care if I mess up on that. I don't want you to judge me on my rankings after day 1. I want you to judge me on my rankings after day 3. That's when it really matters, okay? So, I need to say a public apology. I no longer have Michael Penix Jr. as a first-round player. Here's what's so unfair, though. Do you know how many drafts he'd be a first-round player in the past 10 years? So 100%. Many drafts. But
everyone would have been a part of it.
What happened in day 2 and 3 was so favorable that I'm sitting there saying to myself, we got so many day 2 running backs. The hit rate is so high. We got these wide receivers that I love. Ultimately, he slipped out of round 1 in my rankings. Now, he is my 202 as of today, right here, right now. So let's be honest. The 202 in this class, Superflex, that is a first-round pick in every draft in the last 10 years in Dynasty rookie drafts. Be honest with me. Give me a damn break, okay? All right? But I'm sitting here. I'm owning up to it, saying, I'm sorry. I didn't read the situation well enough. However, the last thing I will say, and call me out of touch, but I will still draft a ton of Michael Penix Jr. Don't hear what I'm not saying. If right now people are saying Penix is a late second-round pick, I will have so much Michael Penix in the early second round. It's not even funny. So just want to clarify that before we continue going on. Guys like Ladd McConkey have jumped him. Guys like those running backs, that hit rate is so good, and I love those players, Benson and Brooks. So those are really the only 3 players that jumped him and pushed him out of round 1 for me. Ladd, Trey Benson, Jonathan Brooks. But I mean, dude, you look at the landing spot. It just felt like a dream scenario every single pick. So it was tough to ultimately keep him in there. But I am still going to draft a ton of him. But I just want to clarify that, I agree. Maybe not a first-round pick at this point. I think, you guys.
At the moment, he's definitely pushed into like more mid-second. But I can understand taking him, in the early second, that a quarterback with a top 10 draft capital. And we were kind of talking about this yesterday. And you know what? Let's get into that after we send this link out to this mock draft. Guys, if you want to join this mock draft, all you have to do is join our Discord. The link in the description below, and link is going to be here in the chat. Okay, join our Discord. Go to the DynastyLand tab with the orange footballs. Then go to content releases. That's how you can join each and every single one of our mock drafts here. And I'm going to be sending that link out here right now, and we can get this draft started.
And hey, just while you are sending that out, is it okay if we advertise to you guys for just like 60 seconds? Is that all right? Because we do have some very exciting stuff to let you guys know about. A lot of you guys will have already had access to our 2024 rookie report. It's got profiles for every single player that you're going to be drafting in your rookie draft. It has Superflex, 1 quarterback rankings, positional rankings. Those will also be tiered for you. It has, inside that rookie report, there are hit rates historically for you to go and crush your drafts. We have my guys. We have, if you're in Devy, we're talking about guys who are returning. So if you want to access our 2024 rookie report, our final version will release after day 3. So the day after day 3, so that's just, 2 days from now, our final version of our rookie report will release. I put a direct link in the chat. If you want to sign up, if you want to get access to that, use the promo code LAND and become a Mother Flocker member. I put a direct link in the chat. If you're watching this later, The link is also in the description. But if you want access to that rookie report, if you want access to a DM where you can ask us advice, if you want access to our entire Discord, all the premium channels. By the way, if you want to get your Dynasty team reviewed, you know, we are making some huge, incredible updates over on the Flock Fantasy site. But soon you will be able to sync all your leagues. You'll be able to look at where my rankings have you in your league, where Badaki's rankings have you in the league. You'll be able to submit a team for a review. But we will continue to do Dynasty team reviews. Maybe you have a ton of picks and you're like, what the hell do I do with these picks, Zach? What do I do with these picks, Badaki? Well, if you become a Mother Flocker member with the code LAND, you will get a Dynasty team review, and that will be live streamed, so you can join us if you want during the review. I put a direct link in the chat. Check that out. And DM us if you have any questions whatsoever. But we are full. Superflex, PPR, tight end premium. And I've been updating my rankings viciously every time something's happened.
Honestly, it's been so much. Like, I've been really going back and forth with some of these second round guys because I think they're all so good.
Yeah.
But yes.
All right, let's get this thing going. 12-man, Superflex, tight end premium. And by the way, no Jatavion Sanders, no Troy Franklin. I think those two things are really surprising so far. Those guys falling all the way into day 3. Troy Franklin, I'll be honest, that shocked me. I'm not going to lie to you. That was shocking. We had Caleb, Marvin, and Neighbors off the board there, which makes a ton of sense. I'm going to continue here. I'll grab my guy Jaden Daniels at the 104. I've said this a couple times, but I think there's a chance because of what he does on the ground, he could be the most valuable asset in Superflex leagues from this class this time next year. With what he does on the ground, I really think that could be a possibility. And by the way, everything that the Commanders have done has been building around him and building around the defense. You know, they got a tight end. They just added a wide receiver. They had an offensive lineman. The Commanders are low-key kind of killing the draft.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely making some favorable moves, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
JJ goes at the 105. Remember, he goes to the Vikings, so he's going to be pushed up boards. Drake May to the Patriots. Roma Dunze to the Bears at pick 7. And we got Jonathan Brooks making his way into the top 8. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Jonathan Brooks there with all these options on the board?
Yeah, this is what's really been boggling me because I love these running backs. I love these landing spots, but I love the wide receiver landing spots so much as well. I'm going back and forth in my mind. It's like, okay, this is where I really need to figure out how I'm going to do this because these wide receivers that have favorable landing spots, but in my process was a higher ranked, prospect, than one or another makes it very, very difficult here.
Hey, let's just say this real quick. There's no reason to say the team at the 8th spot is an idiot or they did something wrong here, right? But this is what we're doing today. We are learning together about what you guys should be doing in your rookie drafts. And Badaki and I are just saying there's so many good players here. You can make a case for different ways, but it's going to be really tough to take Brooks that high. I love him. I think it's an incredible spot. I love Benson as well, but those guys are ranked 12th and 13th for me. I can't pass up on a round 1 quarterback and Bo Nix like you just took, and some of these wide receivers. Where would you rank them at this very moment?
Yeah, I have him ranked here at the 201 and the 201 and the 202.
Okay.
Just because of these wide receivers, like I have Lamar McConkey over both of those guys.
Same.
I love the landing spot. Right now I'm going back and forth with Xavier Worthy, and some of these guys. Because yes, I love the Chiefs landing spot. He gets a Chiefs bump. They trade up for Xavier Worthy, but once again, like how can I value how can I put these guys in order? I love all of them.
Yeah.
Same thing with Brian Thomas. Like I question myself, do I take Lamar McConkey over Brian Thomas? Brian Thomas has first round draft capital. Lamar McConkey just feels like he went to a better team and is easily going to be the number 1 guy there. Like that. These are the questions that we're asking ourselves in the next couple days, next couple weeks, and we're going to be doing this for real with real people, real money on the line in the next couple of days. So I need to solidify my rankings sooner rather than later.
In fact, by the way, we will be live streaming our first real money draft in 2 days from now, it will have already happened on this channel. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. The entire month of May and half of June, 2 times to 3 times a week, we'll be doing live rookie drafts in real leagues for real money. So if you want to see that, subscribe. But yeah, no, I don't think this is a stupid pick. I don't think Teammate is dumb for doing this. It's not what I would do at this point of trying to evaluate how to rank these players. But there will be some teams who are at the 108, the 19, the 110. They're like, I need a running back. I don't know that that is how I would operate, because I think you're filling a need. But it's like, I don't think I can leave Worthy all the way to the 112. It's a stat class. I get it. I don't think I can leave a quarterback who was drafted 12th overall, Bo Nix, on the board there. Brian Thomas Jr., we know how much we love this guy as a prospect. So really, really tough call, but I wouldn't sit here and say it's stupid. We're just trying to process this together, and I don't think it's what you and I would do at this moment.
Absolutely. Definitely getting those quarterbacks first here. Do you have Brian Thomas over Lad?
I do, yeah. Round 1 hit rate is way higher than round 2.
I know.
And,
I know.
you know, I just think I had Brian Thomas Jr. ahead of Ladd McConkey as in my scouting grades before the season. He goes to a spot I like, round 1 draft capital. So why, you know, in my head, I'm like, why would I move him ahead of Ladd? I definitely get it. Ladd's going to a great spot, connected to Justin Herbert. But I still think I got to give the edge to Brian Thomas Jr. and Xavier Worthy there. Even though he's in the same tier for me as those names. That's how I'm feeling.
I think that's the most difficult part. That's the most difficult part for me right now. Like, I love Ladd McConkey. I think he's going to fit in that offense phenomenally. And I love Brian Thomas, but Ladd has no one else. If you think about it, has no one else. Like you said, Quentin Johnson, no one else to compete with. And I love Quentin. I think I would still rather have Ladd. That's the hardest part. And the hit rate for wide receivers in the first round are great.
Yeah.
But the situation is...
In case anyone cares, the best hit rates, the least risky bets in all of Dynasty Football rookie drafts. Y'all ready for this? Write this down if you want. This took me hours and hours of research, and now you just get to hear it. It's also in the rookie report if you want to see it there. A round 1 running back is the best bet in all of Dynasty rookie drafts. We have no round 1 running back here, okay? 86% hit rate in the first 4 years. Tight ends in round 1, the second lowest risk bet you can make, 78% hit rate for tight ends in round 1 in the NFL draft. And we got a guy in Brock Bowers whose situation is super confusing. It's so confusing, right? How does this make sense? We hear they're going to use him as a hybrid player, not just a tight end.
That's what we're hearing.
That is really exciting to us. And if you're in a tight end premium, a team who drafted a guy top 15 in a heavy wide receiver class, and you're going to get a premium every time he catches the ball, they're talking about using him as a hybrid. That's interesting. That's super intriguing to me. But he's just really tough to gauge, man. It's really, really tough to gauge Brock Bowers, but that is the second least risky bet that you can make. Third least risky bet you can make, a round 2 running back. So don't be crapping all over my guy at the 108 here. It's not what we would have done, but it's the third best hit rate of any round versus any player. All right, that's the end of round 1. We got to ask the chat, as always. Y'all know how the deal goes. Who do you think is the absolute best value in round 1? What player could you point to and you said, that guy at that pick got the most value right there? And
I know who.
Who do you think?
It's my pick, Bo Nix. Brother Bo. Top 12. I mean, genuinely. I genuinely think so. Like, I'm not even talking shit. I think there's 2. It's probably Bo Nix and Brock Bowers, but still, Bo Nix, top 12, draft capital, a quarterback. You just kind of mentioned the hit rates for some of these quarterbacks in the first round going to Sean Payton. Now, they didn't get him a weapon in the 3rd rounds, but Troy Franklin is still on the board in the 4th, and if he's available going to the Denver Broncos, and Bo Nix gets
my gosh, imagine that. That just clicked for me.
I mean, that would be phenomenal. And I would love that here. So I think Bo Nix, if you can get a first-round quarterback at the 109, sheesh.
Yeah. And, you know, we have to consider historical hit rates. We have to try and digest a landing spot. And we also have to digest our scouting grades. It's a combination of 3 different factors for every player. So it's really, really tough. But, all right, what does the chat think the best value is? JCM says Bowers is the best value. Macy says Drake May. We got Bowers. Adunes say Bowers. May Bowers. A lot of people saying Brock Bowers. We got a couple Bo Nixes in there, a couple Roma Dunzeys. So a lot of people agreeing with the Brock Bowers one. Marlon Mack, ATJ says Marlon Mack, best value in round 1. Bowers, Penix, trust me. BMAC says, I was livid when my Broncos took Nix instead of Bowers. Adunze, Nix. Okay, so a lot of different opinions, but I think if you were to poll everyone, it sounds like people are saying Brock Bowers was the best value here. You know what's so tough is when you get in a real draft, if it's a non-tight end premium league, you're going to find it so tough to draft Bowers over some of these other names, though.
This is what I was about to say, because I know a lot of people are saying tight end premium, and if it's half point premium, that doesn't move the needle for me for Brock Bowers. If it's a full point premium, that's a different conversation. If it's 2 point premium, that's a completely different conversation. But on a half point premium, if you're in a half point premium league right now, no disrespect, I actually would rather take all these wide receivers over Brock Bowers, because that doesn't move the needle for me. Sure. Now, Brock Bowers does land in an interesting landing spot. Now, as you think about it, I kind of mentioned yesterday, Luke Getsky and his history with Cole Kmet. Brock Bowers could potentially take over something. Now, the quarterback play is not phenomenal, but just depends on the premium for you guys here. So,
and you will have to decide between upside and security historically between these hit rates. But that's the end of round 1. Guys, do us a massive favor and absolutely obliterate that like button. Your team didn't draft who you wanted to today. You know, don't abuse the wall in your house. Abuse the like button. All right, that's what it's there for. Smash that like button. Be a friend, and let's set a like goal here. We have almost 500 people watching, which is incredible. Let's set a like goal of 300. I mean, why can't we get to 300? I think we can with your guys' help. So do us a favor, smash that like button. And by the way, make sure you are subscribing if you want to see real live streamed rookie drafts with real money on the line. That's coming up in the next couple of days. All right, into round 2. Still some incredible players available as we're getting into round 2 here, which is chaos. Ladd McConkey available at the 201. This is a player that is going round 1 in so many past rookie drafts. All right, Keon Coleman.
Keon, I mean, we haven't talked about Keon Coleman.
We have
here. Not. I don't love the landing spot. Well, look, let me say this. I'll take that back. I like the landing spot for Keon Coleman because of the situation. There's no one around him outside of Dalton Kincaid. Yes, they bring in Curtis Samuel. Yes, you have Shakira. So the pathway for Keon Coleman seems like it's going to be there for him. Now, do I believe in the talent? Absolutely not. Can Josh Allen make somebody like Keon Coleman successful? Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't think this is a Stephon Diggs replacement. I personally think this is a Gabe Davis replacement. And that's kind of the role that I envision him playing.
The issue is Keon's nothing like Diggs, so you're right. He's not going to fill that role for them.
Exactly. So I don't think Keon Coleman, like if you're in the community right now and you're saying Keon Coleman is going to take all of Stephon Diggs' targets, I completely disagree. I think it's more of a big body type of wide receiver that's not a fluid route runner that can go up and bring size to an offense.
Sorry, Gabe Davis in the chat. Sorry. He said no one can replace me. Continue.
No one can. Shout out to Gabe Davis. Thank you for the support.
Friend of the show.
Great friend of the show. I just don't envision him taking over those targets. Now, can he be successful there? Yes, because there's no one else there to take targets away from him as in the wide receiver room outside of Dalton Kincaid, in my personal opinion. But I don't like the move. You trade back twice, and you still have Ladd McConkey available there for you. I mean,
this is a little too high for me considering the other players that are available. I have Keon as my 21st ranked player, so that will put him late second round for me, late second round type value for me. He did move from my wide receiver 15 or 16 pre-draft to 11 at this moment. So I definitely think it improved. It helped his capital being in a situation like that. What did I say if anyone was on our channel this entire offseason about Keon Coleman? I said, look, not a good separator. Has a long way to go there. Not very exciting after the catch, really, even though he's a kick returner. But I said, he reminds me so much of Kenny Golladay. I said, if this guy has a gunslinger on his team, right? If he has a gunslinger on his team, just like Kenny did with Matthew Stafford, something could click there. Something could definitely click. And I feel like Josh Allen is a definition of a gunslinger. You know, he makes some poor decisions, sure. But what we have to be careful of is only drafting a player, even though there are huge red flags on his profile because of the landing spot and the quarterback that he plays with. No disrespect, Badaki, but we don't got to go back too far to see where people messed up with that. Quentin Johnson last year. So I can definitely see the upside. I can see the big picture. I'm in on him in late second, but I don't know, man. It's a little tough to gauge. It's a little tough to gauge.
In my personal opinion, I think this is a huge win for Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, I agree.
Dalton Kincaid was somebody I was saying that is going to have a massive breakout if the Bills don't take a first-round wide receiver, and that is exactly what happened here. And they get one of my least favorite wide receivers in this class. So
yeah,
huge win if you are a Dalton Kincaid owner.
All right, so I'm at the 204 here.
Here we go.
Trey Benson was my highest ranked player. My RB1 still in the class today. By the way, round 3 hit rate and round 2 are not that far off. I'll still have Benson ahead, but it's very close. I just like that offense a little bit better. But this is where we're going to grab Michael Penix Jr. I think this is a perfect sweet spot. I'm at the 204. I got to decide between a couple players that I like, but a lot of these guys are in questionable situations. They might not have the same draft capital as a Penix, and I might not be obsessed with them as a prospect at this point in this class. So I'm going to go ahead and take a chance on the guy. And with my second pick, I get a quarterback drafted top 10 in a Superflex format. Do you think those words, I ever thought those words would come out of my mouth ever doing this on our channel? Any Dynasty Superflex rookie draft? I don't know that I ever would have told you those words would have come out of my mouth. So I'm going to take Michael Penix off the board there. Yeah, it might take him a year or 2 or 3 to start, but I personally don't believe this notion that he's going to lose value over the first year. I just don't. And look, oftentimes in Dynasty where there's unknowns, we try and look at some sort of like comparison. Tell me in the chat, please, I'm begging you, if you have a better comparison out there, because people hate this comparison, but the blueprint is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers are always early on their quarterbacks, and I know, I hear you. It is a different situation, clearly, but there is not a better blueprint out there than what the Packers have done, and we have seen that pay off for people. Y'all know if you've been with our channel even 3 years back, I'm telling everyone, I'm begging everyone, hold on to Jordan Love. Hold on to Jordan Love. Jordan Love's value dropped, okay? But now we have precedent. We have precedent in the community that was the wrong move for people to devalue Jordan Love. Guy who went first round, that was only top 25. We got a guy who just went top 10. They're talking about him as an elite prospect in Atlanta's eyes. They're quarterback 2 in the class. And keeping in mind, by the way, that the Falcons can very well get out of Kirk Cousins' contract after his second year. Also keeping in mind that Kirk Cousins is going to be 36 years old coming off a torn ACL. Also keeping in mind that about half of the NFL teams last year, their starter went down, right? You think the Jets would have loved to have a good backup quarterback last year? I mean, I could point to, 15 teams that we could talk about right here, right now. But ultimately, at the end of the day, in a Superflex league, a guy who is in that situation with London, Bijan, Pitts, who was drafted top 10, I can wait. I am happy to wait. So, yeah, I get it. Some people want the instant return, but there is precedent now. It will not, and tell me I'm wrong in the chat, okay? But I believe there is precedent now. If you think the guy who drafted Michael Penix Jr., you're going to get him cheaper a year later. No, that owner is going to tell you, I saw what happened with Jordan Love. All right? You're not, I'm sorry, it's not happening. He's not cheaper now. All right? The writing's on the wall. They drafted this guy top 10. I know at some point he's going to start. So, there's my spiel on it. Like I said, I'll put my money where my mouth is. Early second round pick. If he's there at the 204, I will draft him every single time.
I would say this. I think I am a believer that it has to be best case scenario. And I'll make a pick here, and I'll take 2 other guys that I'm kind of flipping between. This is in belief that someone's going to get traded. I'll take Jermaine Burton here.
Just quickly, by the way, Mad Hats, love Mad Hats. Such a good supporter of our channel. But he said Love had a higher upside than Penix. See, here's the thing, guys. You think if the Falcons thought that, they would draft Michael Penix top 10? We have to stop defining that. We have to stop pretending like age matters as much as it does for other positions when it comes to quarterbacks.
But situation does matter.
Absolutely.
And I think that,
the discount is already priced in here.
The discount is already priced. But if, and I said this yesterday, all Kirk Cousins has to do is go to the playoffs. And I think that extends the window. In my personal opinion, I believe next year, if Kirk, like, think about it, right? People, if we were to compare to the Jordan Love situation, sure, right? He was drafted in 2020. If I'm not mistaken, the Packers go to the playoffs that year. They're like NFC.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers wins MVP, so of course he gets an extension. But sure, still, guess what?
That's what I'm saying.
The writing was on the wall.
But Kirk Cousins doesn't have to win MVP for him to get an extension. Kirk Cousins, all he has to do is be above 500, potentially make it to the playoffs, and they say, you know what, Kirk, we like what you did in the next couple. We like what you did last year. Can you do even further? We're gonna get you some more pieces. We're gonna do this more differently. We're gonna do this differently. Kirk Cousins goes again and maybe goes into the playoffs for the second time that year. Michael Penix's value is dropped because then what happens? That's how I'm envisioning it.
Guys, the writing is on the wall.
We said
Aaron Rodgers was a back-to-back MVP. It did not matter. The writing was on the wall. Hey, when the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes and let him sit, did Alex Smith take him to the playoffs? The writing was on the wall. And I get it. Smith didn't have the contract. At the end of the day, the writing is on the wall. But Aki, do you think at some point Penix is going to start for this team?
100%. Just like we thought Jordan Love was going to start for this team.
The writing is on the wall. There is precedent now. No one who is like me.
There's precedent now.
Everyone in the chat right now is saying Penix is a terrible pick. No one who is this guy right here in your leagues who drafts Penix in the early second round is going to sell him to you for a second next year. The precedent has been set, okay? So that's my case, and I'm sticking to it. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Sure. And my case is that all Kirk Cousins has to do is look like he can take this team to win. He can show that they can win, and then Michael Penix Jr. because that's what happens.
It just doesn't matter.
It does matter. It does, because if we're comparing it to the Jordan Love situation, regardless that he was sitting behind a Super Bowl MVP or an MVP or four-time, league MVP, he won games. Kirk Cousins, I'm not saying he is Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that whatsoever. That's why I think it's so minimal.
Here's what I'm saying. Even if he is Aaron Rodgers' best case scenario, the writing is on the wall. But Aki, Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. Did it matter?
And what happened with Jordan Love?
He sat for a couple years.
And then he started. And then what happened to his value?
And what you're missing is, I'm telling you, there is now a precedent.
I understand, but people are still going to do that because people are not going to want to sit on a first round quarterback in Dynasty. No one is going to want to do that. People are going to try and do that now, and other people are going to.
People were scared about Jordan Love because they didn't see that in the Superflex era. There's precedent now. When precedent happens, people's opinions and their strategies and the way that they approach a player and that player situation changes. So I 100% disagree. This might just be one of those scenarios we disagree, but it's funny that you keep using Aaron Rodgers as like a thing. Aaron Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. Say it with me. Put it in the chat. The writing was on the wall. It did not matter.
I don't know.
And JCM, by the way, he says you're talking about Penix guarantees to succeed. Those words never came out of my mouth today, did they? But Aki, correct me if I'm wrong. Call me out. Did those words come out of my mouth today? But what I am telling you is that a quarterback drafted top 10 that the Atlanta Falcons deemed elite prospect, quarterback 2 in this class, will have a chance to throw all of those weapons behind a good offensive line.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't. I'm not saying I wouldn't take him here to take a chance on him. I'm saying that I'm also happy to pass on him in hopes that I can trade for him later. Because in Dynasty, the way people play Dynasty, whether it's us, however way you play, people play 4 years, people play 1 year, people play 2 years, however way you play. I think at some point in time in the next 2 years I'm projecting Michael Penix to get onto that field, his value is going to drop. That's it. I actually, whether that's one spot, whether that's 2 spots, maybe whatever that case may be, his value will fluctuate. And you're going to be able to have a window to buy Michael Penix. Now, probably not from you specifically, because of with all the precedents that you're saying that's happened, but people in the Dynasty community that probably wants to win now, that probably is in a situation saying, hey, I took Michael Penix, just give me something random. Give me that old wide receiver that I would rather have. Whatever the case may be.
Come on.
That's all I'm saying.
Michael Penix guys out there, are you that dumb? You're not that dumb. How dare Badaki insult you like that? Look, one thing I want to address here, okay, is Elijah is trying to make a point here. He says Rodgers didn't have $100 million guaranteed at the time. Guys, what did we just say? Rodgers' best case scenario. He won back-to-back MVPs. They signed him to a 2-year, $50 million a year extension. Did it matter? I ask again. Did it matter?
2 years, 50 million versus 4 years, 100
and we have
plus
talked
million.
about it, Badaki. You can get out of that contract out of 2 years, easy peasy.
It's still, it doesn't matter. You could get out of it, but it's still double than what Aaron Rodgers was offered at the time.
Y'all are killing me, dog. Y'all are killing me.
I'm not disagreeing with you right now. I'm not disagreeing with you saying that I wouldn't take Michael Penix here. I'm saying I would. I'm happy with him taking him in the second. I'm saying, which I disagree with you on, is that I believe his value is going to dip at some point in time in the next 2 years. That's my personal opinion. I agree with you though that he is worth going here from the 2-4. I said that yesterday. I think his range is going to be from the 110 to the 204-ish.
Millions of people, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people play Dynasty football. Can I literally sit here and tell you that no one will devalue Penix in the next couple of years? No, I can't tell you that. But what I am telling you is that the reason that happened with Jordan Love is because there was no precedent in this era of Dynasty Superflex leagues. There is now precedent. There's now precedent. People will hold on to that. I promise you. You're going to go send a second-round pick to someone in your rookie drafts next year for Penix. He hasn't played yet. They don't care. They're going to tell you about Jordan Love, okay? And at the end of the day, Jordan Love's value improved. There's precedent there for that. And this player was drafted higher. He's in a situation that has better weapons long-term anyway. But at the end of the day, this is just one of those decisions or one of those things we're going to have to agree to disagree on.
And that's okay. And that's okay. I think what we agree on is that Michael Penix is worth taking in the second. I'm also on the board saying that, like, I'm okay to miss out on him because I believe I can get him later for cheaper.
Final question. Okay, final question. I'll ask the chat. All right, Trent says I'm forgetting about the basics of present value over future value. Okay, so right now, from what I'm gathering from the chat, okay, Penix is worth a mid to late second round pick because people aren't happy about this pick. That's fair. Okay, that's all good. Y'all have your opinions there. That's okay. So you're telling me essentially that you believe Penix is going to be you can get him for a third next year, or at best what he's valued now? Do you guys really think someone's going to sell him for a third?
Well, I'll answer it because on my perspective, it wouldn't be next year because I don't see Kirk Cousins not playing a whole full season next year.
But you're saying you want to buy him next year. So you guys in that camp
I'm saying you could potentially buy him next year because in my point of view, I don't believe Kirk Cousins is going to get benched in the next 2 years. I think
that's not what I'm asking. That's not the conversation I'm trying to start. Sure. I'm asking you this time next year, everyone is saying you're going to buy him cheap. What is that price then?
Lower than the 204. Whatever that looks like.
Okay, but right now I'm telling you consensus is the 206 to the 212 from what I've heard in the chat.
From the 206 to the 212?
Yeah, that's what I meant. 206 to the 212.
I mean, well, that's half of the second round. So then he's not going to be a third round pick next year.
Okay, we agree.
We agree on that, but like I don't think that's the case.
If you think you're like Why would okay? Last thing I'll say, and I really don't want to go on too long because I know we're having a debate here, and people agree, they disagree. I just don't believe that the Dynasty community is that dumb. Maybe I'm ignorant here. Maybe I have my head's in the cloud. I do not think the Dynasty community is that stupid. This time next year, Penix hasn't played, and they're like, you know what? I will take a second-round pick for Penix now. I'm not going to keep that guy who was drafted top 10 on my roster anymore. I'm sorry, I believe in you guys more than that. I do not think that you guys are stupid.
I agree. I'm not saying
if he's not worth the first round now,
but situations
he's
change
not going to be a first
weekend.
round this time next year. If that's how you guys are viewing it,
I think when a team gets on the field and situations change, and they're winning games, people start to devalue or value players more, and that's why I put a big emphasis on if Kirk Cousins, all he has to do is take this team to the playoffs, and maybe he goes to the wild card and loses. That changes for Michael Penix's outlook, because
you know what we call this right here? This is just, it's not fitting in the hole. You know, it's just not working. You and I right now, and I don't think we're going to get to an agreement, and that's okay. And you know what? That is the beauty of Dynasty football.
In a year from now, we're gonna see, or well, in my perspective, I think Michael Penix will be cheaper, not next year, but the year after, and the middle of the second year that Kirk Cousins is playing. I don't think his value is gonna fall. There's gonna be a window. That's why I'm saying there's a window where it's going to fall.
Let me ask you
I don't
this.
think.
What percentage of second round picks in this class you think are gonna hit?
At the moment, it feels like a lot. I mean, look at these landing spots.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this from experience. Every year, it feels like a lot. Okay.
100%.
The reality is, it does not happen that way. My case has been rested. I think a lot of people aren't seeing the true upside of what they can get here. And by the way, why are people trying to compare Hendon Hooker here? Like, genuine question. Why is that a conversation point at all? I keep seeing people say that. What are we even talking about with that conversation? Am I like, how does that compare at all whatsoever here? I don't know. Anyway, all right, we're going to spend too much time on this. Let's get into round three. Round three.
Oh man, I think the only way, I
don't want to talk about it anymore. We're not going to get anywhere.
This is the last thing I'll say. I know a lot of people will say Michael Penix is probably going to see the field in the next 2 years. I personally don't believe, in my personal opinion, that they'll pay Kirk Cousins that money to not at least see him play for minimum 2 years. After that,
okay, sure.
I can't see it. I think I've seen a lot of narratives that Michael Penix could potentially be the starter this year. Could potentially be the starter in the year 2025. I don't see it. Not with that money that Kirk Cousins guaranteed.
2 years ago, Ryan Tannehill was a starter. Derek Carr was a locked and loaded starter. Carson Wentz was starting for an NFL team. Jimmy G was starting for an NFL team. Mac Jones was a starter. Matt Ryan was a starter. By the way, Matt Ryan, older in his career, went to a different team. Did not work out. But it's okay. Let's just pretend like nothing changes in the span of a year or two.
I mean, things do change in the span of a year. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know.
And
that's what's going to happen with Michael Penix.
Let's get on to the third round here. By the way, Ricky Pearsall at the 205. We didn't get to talk about that. I really love that. I really love that.
100%.
Go ahead. Leggett went. Polk went. We saw Corum. I'm trying to mark all this off as we're going here. Did Adonai go? Adonai went.
Yeah. 210. Roman Wilson went to 211. Let's talk about some of these landing spots that we haven't spoken about yet, because I know a lot of people want to hear about it. I mean, guys that we saw go today here, Malachi Corley, he went to the Jets, the first pick in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. The Jets trade up. No, sorry. Where did they trade up? Was it the third round? Or am I tripping about that? I don't remember where he got picked. He was the first pick in the third round. He goes to the Jets. I don't mind the landing spot. He can fit into that wide receiver 2 role. Maybe he plays a slot the outside.
Yeah.
What's exciting about this is that there's no one around to compete with him outside of Garrett Wilson, of course, and Breece Hall. So there could be a pathway there, maybe a very limited pathway, but it's exciting to maybe take a shot on him in the late second round here with the draft capital.
Yeah. I agree.
So I like that landing spot.
Love the Roman Wilson spot. I kind of like the Malachi Corley spot as well. I think he's a great compliment to Garrett Wilson. Polk, we talked about.
That was Malachi Corley. I was just talking about. Did you just blank out?
No, I heard you. I was just trying to give my input.
Oh, okay. Sorry. By the way,
is it not okay to put my input in there, or
no? The way it sounded was like Yeah, I like Malik Corley. I like Malachi Corley as well because you didn't mention him. But anyways,
okay.
You can continue.
I
before
recognize
before I
what
go,
you said about Corley as well. But I just want to say, I know we already talked about it. Jalen Polk, very enticing landing spot. Obviously, Drake May has no one really of note to throw the ball to, and he gets to rock with this guy all throughout rookie camp. So many scenarios where we talked about whoever the wide receiver is for, if the Giants got a quarterback and they drafted a wide receiver, or the Patriots. In this scenario, it is the Patriots. It is Jalen Polk. So that's a really exciting combo there. I went Ben Sinnott there. Tight end premium. When I was scouting Ben Sinnott for our final rounds of our rookie report, I was a little bit more impressed with this class than I thought I would be. I don't think this class is actually all that hopeless. Ben Sinnott is a really difficult comp. I couldn't find a comp that I was in love with. What I would say is Tucker Kraft was the closest thing that came to mind for me. Like Tucker Kraft and then Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback out of San Francisco. Those two just really stood out to me some reason with the way that he plays, his strengths, his weaknesses. But this is a guy, by the way, Ben Sinnott. We haven't talked about him much, but he grew up around sports his entire life. Hockey was his first love, then football, baseball, basketball, golf, tennis, and track. Like, there wasn't a sport this guy didn't want to play. He had no serious D1 offers. He kind of bet on himself when he walked on to Kansas State, and then got a full ride the year after. Has pretty good body control. Not a bad yak guy either, and he's a pretty good run blocker. So tight end premium, if the Commanders, who have really no long-term answer at tight end, if they think that's the guy, and Adam Peters knows how important the tight end position was coming from San Francisco, I'll take a shot on him at the 3-4 in a tight end premium. Why not?
Yeah, I like Ben Sinnott here. I kind of have my pro ceiling as like a Noah Fant type of player. That's what I saw here. But yes, I do like him, and I think I said this earlier. These tight ends, earlier last week, these tight ends are going to fall in landing spots are going to be favorable here, and we haven't seen some of these guys like Javion Sanders, Theo Johnson, Jaheim Bell. But if they fall to some of these spots that need a tight end, that can be very, very favorable here. Coming into the fourth round of the tight end, fourth round hit rate is not technically is higher than the third round according to what your research has done.
Well, yeah, you're right, it is. But you really want a guy in rounds 2 or 1.
Yeah, 100%, no question about it. We did get a super chat, by the way, and I know some people were saying that. Sorry about that. Latino Heat.
I'm so sorry, I can't even find it.
Here it is. We were
is
heated
Latino Heat in the chat? I feel so bad.
We were heated in the Michael Penix debate, but that's okay. One quarterback pick 105, 110. Who makes sense there?
I haven't really dived into my one quarterback rankings yet, if I'm honest with you. But the 5th player on my board would probably be Xavier Worthy or Brian Thomas. And if you're saying 10, that's like Ricky Pearsall range, Brock Bowers range.
Yeah.
If it's a premium, that might change, but
3, 4, 5. Yeah, Xavier Worthy, Lama Conklin type area. 110.
Yeah, you could also consider like the Daniels of the world. He has Stroud, but I think Worthy, Brian Thomas at the 105, and then I'm looking at the likes of a Ricky Pearsall, Brock Bowers if he's there. I think he'll fall in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, those running backs are going to be going right after, like right in between the 105 and the 110 there. I was going to say maybe you can squeeze one of those running backs, but
they'll be gone.
They'll be gone by then. So yeah, I would agree.
All right, I mean at this point we're drafting players who aren't even drafted yet, so maybe we could only do 3 rounds from here on out. But we had a like goal today of 300 likes. A little update on that. We are only 60 likes away. 60 likes away from 300, which is our goal. We appreciate you greatly. Do us a favor, smash that like button. Easy way for you to help this channel grow. Of course, subscribe if you want to see real money rookie drafts throughout the entire month of May and June, because we'll be live streaming them 3 to 2 times a week at nights from here on out. So hit that sub button. And by the way, we'll also have updated rookie rankings for you guys tomorrow morning when you wake up. When this stream ends, Badaki and I are going to get straight into the lab, record a video for you, edit it, and make sure we release it when you wake up. Yeah, I haven't even really thought about Brendan Rice, but boy, he fell down boards, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, here's some names that are still available in the NFL draft currently. Troy Franklin, Devontae Walker, Jatavion Sanders, Bucky Irving, Braylon Allen, Ray Davis, Brendan Rice. You have Aldrick Estime, Jalen Wright, Jacob Cowing, Will Shipley is out there, Michael Pratt, and Spencer Rattler. So this is kind of everyone that is still available. And that's not even including the tight ends and Jaheim Bell, Theo Johnson, excuse me, Kate Stover. So there's still some talent here that could potentially go in and get some favorable draft capital or favorable landing spots, not have the best draft capital.
Hey man, Tez Walker. Jeez Louise.
People were saying Tez Walker was like a top 5 early or top 10. It was like, whoa.
Well, to be fair, I also had Troy Franklin in that range.
I was about to say, we had Troy Franklin.
I can't really blame anyone. I am so shocked that production alone didn't get him inside the top 3 rounds.
Maybe he must have the combine really must have shown his true colors there, because he must have struggled.
Yeah.
Or he definitely struggled, and that was my biggest concern.
That means a ton when it comes to, a lot of GMs don't even care about production in the NFL for a tight end. I mean, obviously it matters, but they are much more interested in like, hey, what could I make you in the NFL with your raw athleticism,
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very interesting, and I called it. I was like, look, one of my biggest hot takes was that Troy Franklin was going to fall into the 3rd round. He fell outside of the 3rd round. So that's even bigger if somebody predicted that. But yeah, like, I mean, look, the talent's still there. In my personal opinion, the situation has to be right now in the 4th round. And we've seen 4th round wide receivers be successful. I mean, the most recent one, it feels like it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. Puka Nacua was 5th, 6th round in the most recent.
It drops off so far in round 4, though. 5% from 22 in round 3. It's pretty rough, but it's not impossible. We got a super chat from El Tigre. He says, I don't trust Kirk's health, and neither does the front office. Another left-handed Michael in Atlanta. I like the pick, but I trust Badaki for quarterbacks. There you go. So he's a little bit conflicted there.
Look, I think that is my biggest question mark when it comes down to Penix. That Penix pick, and I said that when I think that was probably one of the first words that I said. My first thought.
When you were born?
Like, one of my first words when I was born is like, Kirk health is a problem.
They were like,
I said this yesterday when he was picked. I was like, this makes me believe that the Atlanta Falcons doesn't believe, whichever is the right way to say it, that Kirk Cousins is healthy enough to start week 1. Or maybe they're concerned about his progress. They're concerned about something with that ACL that you make this pick. I mean, in my personal opinion, after spending so much money, that was probably one of my first thought processes there.
So if you feel that way, why are you out on Penix then?
Because of the contract.
Okay.
Because of the situation. Because they themselves have said this is a Jordan Love effect.
Joe says Badaki's straight out of the womb. I just don't see the pathway.
I mean, have you watched the interview with Raheem Morris?
I've seen it.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, this is a Jordan Love effect. Yeah. We saw what Green Bay's done, and we thought that was really successful. So in my personal opinion, obviously every situation is different. That means they're happy for him to sit for however long that takes them.
Yes, understood. All right, well, let's get another mock draft going here. We appreciate y'all. The next one won't be as drawn out, because I'm sure we won't spend 30 minutes on Michael Penix. Seems to be a common trend every time.
I think that's true, Elijah. You worried about his quarterback health and then you draft Michael Penix. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation.
See,
if you guys want to join,
that's silly though. We heard no one had concerns like they. Well, not. No one, but the people who were in on Penix, they know that they cleared him. Otherwise, he doesn't go round 1, does he? But anyway.
Sure, but I mean, yeah, sure. I'm not saying that that was one of the biggest asterisks on his resume, though, the injury history, and how some of those things were. A lot of teams didn't like him because of that, but I mean, the Falcons liked him. Anyways,
So how can people join this second mock draft here?
Yeah, if you guys want to join this mock draft, all you have to do is join our Discord. Join our Discord, which I'll put in the chat, link in the description, and link is going to be here in the chat as well. Join that Discord. Go to the DynastyLand tab with the orange footballs, and then go to content releases. That's exactly where Zach said, "Hey gang," right here. That's how you can join this mock draft here. So it is first come, first serve. I'll go ahead and send a link here for you guys after I join the mock draft, because I don't think I joined here.
Oh my god, you guys are vicious. Why did you click on the eggplant?
I don't know. It just gets the people going.
It's chaotic.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There you go.
All right, let's get this thing filled up, and I'm sure we'll have more disagreements as we go. We'll do linear.
I mean, that's really the biggest. The last big disagreement we had was Trey Lance, and respectfully, I was right.
Sure, you want to say that's the last big disagreement we had?
No, I'm trying to feel like that was the last biggest
Johnston?
one.
How about when you switched up from CJ to Bryce? I mean, we can go there, but I don't think we want to go there.
I mean, technically, I was right, but I messed up myself.
Well, you were wrong because you switched from your guy CJ to Bryce. So I mean, don't let us go there. We can go there.
All I said was this is the biggest disagreement since Trey Lance. That's all I said, and then you thought that was a shot. I just said that was the biggest disagreement. That's what it felt like.
I think we've had some pretty big disagreements. All right, Superflex, PPR, same exact thing. Tight end premium. Yep. And let's get this thing going. Super chat from the Chef 93. He says, I guess Dynasty, that's what that means. Superflex. Ladd, Nix, Coleman are worthy at the 201. Superflex League, that would be Nix for me.
Yeah, if Nix is there at the 201, I'm taking him.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, but at the end of the day, I almost had it. Should have stood strong. That's what we learn, you know? We learn.
Exactly. You live and you learn.
I would just look like a genius if I stayed.
Big time. Big time.
But that's okay.
It happens, and that's all right. All right, this is only 60 seconds, by the way.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I'm curious, is Bo Nix fall into the second round in Superflex leagues?
Surely he shouldn't. Surely he should be definitely locked in top 8.
It is
top
classic
9.
The Dynasty community thinking that they know how to scout quarterbacks, by the way, if that happens.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like Nix before the draft, so even though he went round 1, I'm not going to take him. Okay.
Okay, JJ.
Caleb,
okay.
Marvin, Neighbors, JJ Daniels falls at the 105. Okay. That is kind of crazy to me, seeing Jane Daniels fall that far. Is that going to be common, you think?
I mean, I think it's a possibility. Once again, JJ arguably has the better landing spot than Caleb Williams. I don't think he's a better talent, but I think the landing spot overall is better than Caleb Williams. That we kind of been comparing Caleb Williams now. Rome Dudsey, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Same thing with JJ. You know?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to pretend I know more than the NFL. Scouting departments, I'm going to grab Bo Nix here. If the Broncos thought he was good enough to be round 1, and Sean Payton thought, you know what, that's the guy I'm going to stake my reputation on, then I'll take a shot on him here at the 108 with the Denver Broncos. Brock Bowers goes next. Really tough to try and gauge Brock Bowers at the moment. Damn. Brock Bowers ahead of Brian Thomas. Ahead of a name I think you might take here.
Yeah. I'm just really...
Jared says, show me a clip of Nix passing it beyond the line of scrimmage. If you actually haven't seen a clip of him throwing it behind of beyond the line of scrimmage, I'm sorry, you have not watched any film. A lot of people wouldn't want to hear this, but Bo Nix was one of the best passers down the field, according to PFF grades, according to accuracy. and he throws over 20 yards. But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that.
Look, we like Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix more. I liked him.
Same. I liked him more than Penix too.
I had him higher than Penix. I had him higher than JJ. I know you didn't, but I had him higher than JJ. And a lot of the conversations was, I mean, early off season was that Bo Nix was going to be ahead of JJ, and then JJ won, I feel like, the national championship, and then like he just skyrocketed, and then Bo Nix was just irrelevant.
Yeah. JJ's got a lot of question marks, but he has all the things that you would want in a quarterback if you were to try and just say, you know, I can make this guy what I want him to be. I can you know, fix this, or I can teach this into him. This mold of clay. JJ has all of that and more. So yeah, Penix goes at the 112. Okay, guess what? I'm not alone in being okay with drafting Michael Penix. I'm not afraid to take a stand. Come on, everybody. Where's Eminem at? Trey Benson off the board. I like the pick. You know what's crazy is you're gonna be able to get in this class a round 2 and an early round 3 quarterback in the early second round. That's crazy.
The quarterback or
running back? Running back is what I meant to say.
Okay.
T Gray on the clock here. A lot of options. Slick Ricky. We were waiting on an Ayuk or a Debo trade.
I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be a phenomenal value in drafts until a lot of people are going to let Ricky fall, or they'll draft him high, like we've seen here with Czar. They draft him high, but I think Slick Ricky is potentially going to go after the guys like Keon Coleman, after some of the guys like Xavier Leggett, because of the draft capital and the situation, right? Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be a phenomenal second-round pick who's going to gain value once one of these guys gets traded away. If I'm not mistaken, Brandon Ayuk on his last year of his contract this year. And can they have to? Are they going to keep Brandon Ayuk? Are they going to keep Deebo? Are they going to be keeping George Kittle? We don't know. They also have Christian McCaffrey. They're going to be playing Brock Purdy here soon. Somebody got to go.
Yeah.
And it ain't Ricky. I'll tell you that much.
I know he's got some serious competition, but I don't know, guys. I'm not saying Kyren Williams isn't going to be good. We haven't really talked about this too much.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not saying Kyren Williams isn't going to be good, but Sean McVay decides to take a day 2 running back.
Last time he took a day 2
he has plans for that.
Last time he took a day 2 was brother Cam. Wasn't it?
I think he's got plans. Yeah, I think that was Cam Akers, actually. Now, I'm not sitting here saying Corum's going to take that job or anything, but it is kind of similar to how I felt about Ken Walker last year, in the sense of I would be concerned if I owned Ken Walker. But
yeah,
to a much bigger extent, because in this scenario, Sean McVay decided that Blake Corum was more valuable to him in a draft, and he did that by drafting him in day 2 versus Kyren Williams in round 5. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Corum is going to take the job or Kyren is dead, but what I will say is that's a very fun offense to have a running back in. And if Sean McVay saw running back as a need after that year from Kyren, and the hit rate is so good for those running backs, I'll take Blake Corum there. I mean, I know it's confusing and not ideal, but I don't know, dude. I couldn't pass on him there.
No, and I think one of the biggest things that we were kind of talking about all offseason, and I think we both bought Kyren Williams at some point in time as a sell or pivot option because of our expectations of, you know, the Rams drafting another running back, is because of this.
Yeah.
Is because of the concerns of what his production is going to look like. And at the time, before the NFL draft, Kyren Williams was going, the 106, 107 type value in the first round pick. Look what you could have gotten.
Yeah.
For a running back who is now most likely, I mean, if you think about it, I don't think I'm not trading the top, 15 picks away for Kyron Williams. I think I want the 202, or the 203, the 202, the 201. You can even argue the 204.
That's tough. That is a tough question to answer.
Like, think about it. Like, okay, you trade away Kyron Williams. What can I get in return? You're not going to give up a first round pick in this draft class. The second round, the first half of the second round, you want those guys over Kyron because
it's really tough to hear. But then you have to ask yourself, like, well, are you not going to prefer Jonathan Brooks with round 2 capital over Kyron long term? That's a difficult conversation to have.
Exactly.
So I hear that's a really tough convo. By the way, that was the video we made 2 weeks before the draft, and we said, hey guys, we're not saying you have to sell these players, but we're concerned that the NFL draft could negatively impact them. Kyron Williams was one of those players. At the time, you could get the 106 to the 108. Another one of those players was Hollywood Brown. You could get an early second, somewhere around early second value for Hollywood at that time. Another one of those players was Josh Downs. You could get a mid to early late, I guess, second round pick in this class that we thought was stacked. That worked out. Of course, we're not going to always hit on everything, but one of those players we were slightly concerned about, and it had to do with the history. Damn, McMillan would have been my pick there. It had to do with the history of Sean McVay. Sean McVay hasn't had a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher since 2017, 2018. How is Jermaine Burton still available, by the way? I'll take him. That's probably just Sleeper's ADP. Sean McVay hasn't had a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher since 2017, 2018. And he also hasn't had a leading rusher repeat in the last 5 years either. It's always been a different person the next year. So as good as Kyron was, we were just like, ugh. That's tough, right? We got a super chat from the Chef 93.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. He says, Worthy, Ladd, Polk, Coleman, Leggett. Pick one. It'll be between Ladd and Worthy for me. I clearly took Worthy here. I don't like the pick. I think I want Ladd McConkey. I'll be honest with you. I'm still debating between these two guys in my rankings. It's still really fresh. For me, I know Xavier Worthy gets a first-round draft capital. Ladd McConkey doesn't, but they go up and trade up for him. He goes to a favorable landing spot with Justin Herbert. It's tough, man. It's really tough right now. Right now in my rankings, I think I'm leaning Ladd McConkey. I think once it's solidified and is going to be released tomorrow for you guys, I think I might have Ladd McConkey over Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I'll take Xavier. Yeah.
And I had Ladd as a talent overall better than Xavier. Xavier just got the capital. So now like I have to weigh them, you know, like what's the balance there?
No, I get it. I will go Xavier. I do think the capital matters for me. But I get it. I definitely get it. It's a tough call. Braylon Allen, Sanders off the board. Our like goal today was 300. We are currently just 12 likes away from that goal. So do us a favor if you have yet to smash that like button. Smash that thing for us. Take some anger out on that like button. And of course, make sure you subscribe because we will be live tomorrow night. And I believe the next day we'll be live again, but only it's not a mock draft. It'll be a real rookie draft with real people.
I need to see what I have. I think I have like the 106.
Yeah, let me check out that
in
league,
that draft.
I think I have the 110.
That is hot.
Oh, I have Kyron in that league, by the way, which that's fun.
Oh, GG's. Yes, I have the 106 and the 201 and the 206. Sheesh. And this team is competing. I needed a quarterback. Hey, Daniel Jones, stock is back up, and I'm getting a quarterback. Welcome home. This is a championship team.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a championship team.
All right, let's do another one here. Let's help out the one quarterback people.
Yeah.
I know.
Huge love, guys.
I always find it so funny, the fights between one quarterback and Superflex in the comments. There'll be someone who's like, you didn't do enough one quarterback content today. And then there's a comment like a minute later from someone being like, one quarterback sucks. You're a grandpa. And we're over here like, we don't care what you play. We really don't care. Just play Dynasty. It's fun.
And you just got the really nice people like, hey, thank you so much for doing one quarterback content.
Yeah. And then someone destroys them in the comment. They're like, you're an idiot. Why are you not playing Superflex? Of course, we prefer Superflex, but it is known that we love anyone who loves Dynasty. Okay, you like Dynasty, you're good with us.
You like jazz?
You like jazz? Do you like jazz? Go ahead and send that link out in our Dizzy.
Yeah. You guys know how to join. Once again, join a link in the description. FantasyLand tab, content releases. One quarterback gang, 3, 2, 1. That link is out already for you guys to join.
All right, so that is going to fill up that one quarterback mock really soon. And I'm just going to take 30 to 60 seconds here and let y'all know about some stuff that we got going on. Our final rookie report, version 4.0, will be releasing in just 2 days. So tomorrow, we have the final day of the NFL draft. The next day, we're going to release our final rookie report. It will have our rankings for one quarterback, for Superflex. It will have positional rankings. Obviously, we'll talk about tier breaks. We'll add any profiles that we feel like we need to add. We'll have my guys in there, and we'll also have the historical hit rates. You know how you guys always hear us talk about, well, hit rates in round 1 have this, or tight ends or quarterbacks in round 2 have this hit rate. It's not great, or whatever. All that information is going to be available to you inside that 2024 rookie report. So if you want to dominate your rookie draft, I'm sure you could do it on your own. But if you want that little edge, you want a little more information, someone to do some of that research for you, then sign up with the link that I put in the chat. Become a Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. Not only do you get our rookie report, you also get a Dynasty team review by us. So we'll review your team on a live stream, tell you what sort of directions you might be able to go, what sort of trades you might be able to make, or how you should utilize your draft picks. So much that you get when you decide to support the channel and become a Mother Flocker member. And, you know, last thing, most probably won't care, but you also are just helping keep the lights on over here at DynastyLand Football, right? You're helping us do our thing. So, one quarterback here, PPR, tight end premium. Let's get this thing going for y'all. And one quarterback on the board. 30 seconds on the clock.
30 seconds on the clock here. Come on, take him. There you go. I'll take my guy. Welcome home.
Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors off the board. Luke McConkey, actually. Ladd McConkey is the third player off the board here.
Well, this is another thing that I'm contemplating in my rankings, which I'll most likely be surprising for you. Landing spot still, man. Brian Thomas Jr.
You would consider Ladd over Rome and Brian?
Oh, no. I don't have him over Rome, but Brian Thomas, I think it's definitely a conversation. I truly believe it's a conversation. And the reason why I'm coming to that conclusion is because when I really think about my rankings here, when you look at my wide receiver rankings, I already moved Ladd McConkey ahead of Troy Franklin, and I think that's proven to be right. And Brian Thomas is just...
Troy Franklin isn't even that conversation anymore.
Yeah. So the fact that Ladd McConkey is right behind Brian Thomas, the draft capital is not there. But once again, the landing spot really weighs heavy for me when it does come down to this and the quarterback that he's getting linked to. Now, I'm not a massive... You know me, I'm not a massive believer in Trevor Lawrence and what he can do. Now, he has produced, Christian Kirk in targets in the past and everything, but I'm not necessarily sure if Brian Thomas Jr. is going to surpass Ladd McConkey in production when it comes down to the situation. I think he can, but the situation at the moment just feels like it's Ladd all the way. But maybe I'm overthinking it.
That's all right. I mean, I get it. I just think sometimes we just throw all of our pre-draft work out the window sometimes with that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I mean, Brian Thomas was this locked and loaded, no questions asked, wide receiver 5 in the class. Wide receiver 4 in the class, sorry.
Wide receiver 4,
He goes higher than anyone else. He gets round 1 capital to a place that needs him desperately. It just feels like we're overthinking it a little bit, but I could obviously eat those words.
I think the way that I'm like, I guess bringing thought to it is that there wasn't a big gap between Brian Thomas and Ladd when I really thought about my rankings. Like if I told you today that Brian Thomas was 4th, but Ladd was my 10th, and now he's ahead of Brian Thomas.
Sure.
That's a okay.
I hear you to an extent, but I know for sure we both had Brian and Ladd in a different tier.
Don't know who to take care. I forgot. Yeah,
we had those guys in a different tier pre-draft.
Yeah, 100%. And I completely agree. I'm not disagreeing on that. I'm not saying I didn't have differently, but a part of this now is landing spot.
No, I
But
agree.
I'm not saying that it's happening confirmed. I'm just saying there's a conversation to be had,
Sure.
and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe by my rankings release, Lam McConkey is ahead of Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay.
Not saying it's locked and loaded and inked in pen, but there's a conversation.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. I don't think it's crazy. I definitely want to adjust, but I don't want to throw out everything I did to work to get here either. Polk off the board there, which makes sense. Mitchell is next. We had Blake, or Blake didn't go yet, did he? My bad. Oops.
By a country mile.
You know what? Give me Xavier Legette here. Am I getting a first round wide receiver here? I am. I'll take Xavier Legette at the 206.
Yeah, I panicked with the Drake May pick. I wasn't talking too much, and then I had to make a pick.
Chris says no way Keon makes it out of round 1. That's tough, man. I mean, you got to place him in round 1. Is anyone going to take him over Jonathan Brooks, Benson, Ricky, who got round 1 capital, or those quarterbacks? Maybe if those quarterbacks don't go.
Are you taking Benson over Ricky in a one quarterback?
I'm taking him over him in any format.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Because I saw Benson or Ricky get take at the 110 here.
And it's not because I don't like Ricky, by the way. It's just it doesn't sound like they're trading him at all.
Let me ask you this: if in this hypothetical, Brandon Ayuk is not on the team and Ricky Pearsall's there,
that would change a lot.
That would change a lot, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, it would change a lot. Big time. Franklin goes, by the way, ahead of... look. Franklin can't go that high anymore. I hate to say it. I don't know. It breaks my heart, man. Honestly, I love this kid. But...
Oh, gosh.
I'm not sure he can go that high anymore.
Look, there's still hope for Franklin. I think Franklin, if he does land in a favorable... Like, if Franklin goes to the Broncos, there's conversation of him going in the middle of the second. There's conversation. If Franklin, what if a team like that still need wide receivers like the Chargers pick him up? There's conversation of him going there. Not of him going there, but of him going in the middle of the second. Like the draft capital is not there 100%. But if he does land in a landing spot that may be exciting for some people, I think things can change.
I really like Troy, but he's not touching round 2 for me in any form.
Okay.
The round 4 drop off for a wide receiver is truly awful. What if I told you in the last decade, and you guys could have all this if you had a rookie report, by the way. It comes out in a couple of days, but in the last decade, just 2 wide receivers have hit in fantasy in round 4. And there's been 38 wide receivers drafted.
What was that? Diggs and Amon-Ra? Was Diggs 4th?
It was Amon-Ra for sure. I can't remember the other round 4 guy. I should have written that down.
I think it was Diggs. Maybe Diggs was 5th.
I think Diggs was round 5.
Yeah. I don't remember.
I need to write that down.
But for sure, Amon-Ra.
Sure,
Amon-Ra.
I'll take my guy. Welcome to the squad, baby.
Yeah, you guys got Luke McCaffrey. Game changer there.
I agree, Chasing Breakers. It's not straightforward at all. Not straightforward at all.
Yeah.
5th round actually does hit more often than round 4. But they're both pretty shockingly bad. And by the way, round 6 is actually the worst round for all positions. If you take all positions, round 6 has a less than 1% hit rate across all positions in the last decade. 1 player out of 117. Tough. That's tough. Allen's gone. Horendo's gone. Baker's gone.
Yeah, man. Some of these guys that we really had hope for, which I feel like a lot of these guys that we liked, I feel like I really liked our I feel like guys that were my guys. Bucky Irving was in the 4th. I really like Ray Davis. That's still available. Jacob Cowing is still available out there.
Yeah, obviously I loved Troy.
Yeah,
but I'd add on a couple names. Isaac Correndo obviously hasn't gone. Jalen Wright hasn't gone, which was a little surprising. Malik Washington, I was not surprised about that, but I still love him. So yeah, that is all really surprising. Do us a favor, guys, smash that like button if you have yet to do so. Yep. We already reached our goal, which is awesome. But hey, maybe we can reach 350 maybe with your help. I mean, we're 40 away. So do us a favor and hit that like button. But let's start answering any super chats that pop up here. The first one is from Levon. So do a little Q&A here.
How you doing, man? How you doing, Levon? He said 12-team Superflex PPR. OTB. What's OTB mean again? On the block, right. On the block, Mayor is left of the top 7. I don't need a quarterback. I am high on him for fantasy, and I'm missing something. Am I missing something? Or who should I take? I also have an offer of Kenneth Walker for the 107 on the table.
So just to be clear, you are saying that you're in a Superflex draft and you can get Mayer or Drake May at the 107, or you have an offer to take Ken Walker for the 107. It's Drake May by what?
Yeah.
3 miles. I don't know. Like
it's Drake May all the way.
It's big time Drake May.
Yeah.
Not even close.
And if you're saying if you can send away Kenneth Walker for the 107, I'm doing that immediately in a Superflex league.
Right, but we wouldn't buy Ken for that.
Yeah, and I don't care if I don't have another running back.
Yeah.
I want the 107.
Drizzy Drake May by a mile. All right, we got some more questions here. Look, if there's any super chats, we will absolutely get to those super chats, but we will only do 5 questions from here on out. Okay, 5 questions only. Keep in mind, we got to go record content for y'all and release it before you wake up. Okay, so we're doing our best here to pump out as much content. We'll answer 5 questions. If there's a super chat, we'll get to that as well. No pressure, of course. First question I see here is from Matt Willoughby. Are we going to finish with the Superflex draft? That's not going to count. Well, this will be the last one. Biggest disappointment tonight for me, it's McMillan to the Bucks. I definitely would agree at first it was McMillan to the Bucks. I actually think it's between Adonai.
Yeah.
I think it's Adonai.
I think it's Adonai. It's Adonai and Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, and Lloyd. That's what I was going to say. Adonai and Lloyd are the 2 biggest disappointments so far. Adonai was rising up the rankings. Marshawn Lloyd was hoping to go to a favorable landing spot. That is not the case.
Yes, really tough. All right, that was question 1 out of 5. Question 2 out of 5 is what do we do? Do we really like Lloyd? We do really like Lloyd, but we really hate that landing spot. We hate that they just signed Jacobs to a big-time deal. Now, what I will say is there is an out in Josh Jacobs' contract after this year. Is that something? We don't know, but you cannot be taking Marshawn Lloyd anywhere in the 2nd round. He's got to be a 3rd-round pick if you want to draft him.
Yeah, I agree. I think the pathway could be interesting. I kind of mentioned it earlier. Maybe it could be a Jerome Ford type of situation where you wait and see. Josh Jacobs didn't miss games in the past. And AJ Dillon is, in my personal opinion, nothing. No disrespect to him, but
no, Dillon doesn't worry me at all.
If Josh Jacobs misses some games, and you're telling me right now who is it? Should I pick up Marshawn Lloyd or AJ Dillon off the waiver wires? It's Marshawn Lloyd every day. So I think there's a pathway. You might have to wait on it a little bit.
Yeah. Nate says, does Zamir White gain value having survived the draft?
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
He does. Big time.
That is huge. Look, I think he does gain value, but I think he can still lose it because there are still some really good running backs out there. Now, the hit rate's not exciting when it comes down to the running backs in the 4th, but if Isaac Correndo goes, if Jalen Wright goes to the Raiders, name a running back, I think it definitely changes, and it would scared me. But at the moment, he feels like a big winner for today.
I agree. Lloyd has one more day to go, but White has one more day to go, but it feels like a huge winner. We got a super chat, so we'll get to that straight away. It's from C-Dub. Appreciate your donation, my man. He says 12-team Superflex start 11, DJ Moore or the 11 and 12. So the 111 and the 112.
Wow, the 111, the 112.
Is that Superflex or one quarterback? Superflex.
Superflex start 11.
Damn, that is tough.
If it start 11, I'm assuming what's that? Start 5 wide receivers? Start 4 wide receivers? If that's the case, I might be interested in the two first, because that could be Xavier Worthy, that could be Lad McConkey, that can be.
Yeah, I think it's the picks there.
I think it's the picks based off of what
wide
we've seen.
receivers start.
6 wide receivers start. Oh man, I think I'm going the wide receivers once again. Brian Thomas Jr. potentially falls there depending on your quarterbacks. If somebody believes in a Michael Penix should go in the first or whatever that looks like, but Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey can all potentially be there. And if not, you can get an Xavier Worthy, a Lad McConkey, and or a Jonathan Brooks or a Trey Benson if you wanted to get one of those running backs.
Yeah, I agree. I would take the picks there. Definitely would. All right, that was the super chat. We appreciate you big time, my man. Back to the normal questions here. The freaking Moss. This is question 3 out of 5. Non-super chat. Does Troy Franklin to the Broncos put him in the late second? Not for me.
I think it does. I think it does for me.
Okay.
I think the landing spot's favorable. If you're telling me Troy Franklin's available, are you taking Adonai Mitchell or Troy Franklin?
Adonai Mitchell, guy who went round 2.
Sure, I think I'm taking Troy just based off of the situation. But look, I could be dumb right now and I may put my foot in the mouth.
Like I said, I'm trying to use this historical research that I've done, try and put it to good use. And round 4 is truly awful. It's truly disgusting hit rate.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I get it.
All right, question 4 out of 5. For every like, Penix will be drafted 1 spot higher. What do we think of Lloyd? All right, we talked about Lloyd. Would you trade out of the 110 for Rice in a 1 quarterback league? I'm shocked that that's like the price point. I imagine his price point is like a mid-second right now. Sure, I imagine buying him for a mid-second, but I would not buy him for the 110. The 110 is more valuable there.
I agree.
That was question 4 out of 5, right?
Yes.
Jason Breaker says, how do you think the rookies quarterbacks May, JJ, Nix, and Penix slot in with the 23 selections like Bryce and Levis? It's a really good question. I still am of the belief that if you added CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson into this year's class and put them all last year without knowing what CJ Stroud has done, I still think Caleb goes 1. And then I think it's kind of chaos after that. I would imagine May goes ahead of Bryce and CJ based off what we thought last year.
I think so as well.
It doesn't really help us now because we know more about these guys,
Yeah, I agree. I think it was going to be pick your poison type of scenario there. Do you want size? Do you want mobility? Do you want, I don't know, what was Bryce? I don't know, movement. I think he had good feet, Bryce Young, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a couple of different ways you could have gone there, but yeah, I completely agree.
All right, guys, that is donezo. That's all she wrote for today. We appreciate you big time. I mean, look, we'd love to stay, but it is already 3 p.m. where we live. We got to go record a video. We got to make graphics. We got to edit the video. We got to upload, and then we got to plan tomorrow's day while also updating that 2024 rookie report for all of you. So again, keep in mind, if you want your Dynasty team reviewed by us on a live stream, maybe you don't know exactly what to do with your picks. Well, if you want us to help you out, maybe some trades we can advise and what direction you should go, then sign up to become a Mother Flocker member with the code, with the link that I put there in the chat. When you become a Mother Flocker member with the code LAND, you get our rookie report, which will be finalized in 2 days, a Dynasty team review, unlimited access to our trade calculator, a DM to us for advice, our complete rankings. You get to be a part of our Dynasty trade show every month. You get to unlock our entire Discord. And of course, you were supporting Badaki and myself when you decide to sign up. You said, you know what?
Yeah.
Those guys, they're kind of dumb, but I like them. They're maybe fun to be around, or I like one or I like the other. And I kind of want to support them as they're doing this for their family. So we appreciate you big time. Like we said, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member if you want all those perks in return. And tomorrow night we'll be live doing more rookie drafts, and then the day after, live with real rookie drafts.
Gosh, I can't believe it.
It just doesn't stop.
I'm actually so pumped for that Alpha League.
Yeah. It is going to be fun, no doubt about it. But we appreciate you big time. Thanks for hanging out with us. And enjoy the rest of your night. We'll see you very soon. All love.
Love.